Hey, what's up everyone? This is Beat is the Rockstar, a part of Super Obvious. In this video, we're going to talk about Raw. The air date is September 10th, 2018. I'm going to go over parts of the show that I think are cool or important. I'm not going over the whole show. Spoilers. But yeah, let's go. Now, as soon as Raw starts, we go to the commentary table. We see Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and we see Renee Young again. I believe it was Michael Cole and Corey Graves, or pretty much Michael Cole. He made the announcement that Renee Young had made history, and she is the first female to be a full-time commentator on the announcer table. That's really, really cool, man. I'm happy for her, for real. She's way better than Jonathan Coachman and way better than Byron Saxton. After that announcement, we hear Dolph Ziggler's music combined with the Drew McIntyre music, and they are wearing their freshly brand new Raw Tag Team Championships that they won off the B Team last week. Braun Strowman also comes out, and all three of them do the Braun roar. And the three of them get about halfway down the ramp, and you see a whole bunch of wrestlers from backstage come outside to the front. And so once the three of them are in the ring is pretty much surrounded by all the wrestlers, which I'm pretty sure most of them are the people that beat up the Shield last week. Braun Strowman pretty much directs everyone's attention to the Titantron, where they show a packaged video, pretty much everything that happened last week when the Shield got arrested and when the Shield came back, and of course the really huge beatdown that pretty much the whole roster gave the Shield. And eventually we hear the Shield theme music, the crowd pops, so of course everyone is like looking all around the arena in the crowd to see where the Shield is, because they don't really just walk down the ramp all the time. Their entrance is through the crowd. That's their default entrance. Like, that's how they roll. Eventually, highlights, we all see where the Shield is. The Shield runs from the crowd into the ring, and this huge fight starts. Of course, the Shield's outnumbered, so they start getting their asses kicked. And a little bit after that, you see Dean Ambrose. He pulls out this black bag that has, like, axe handles, like the stick part of an axe. It just, it doesn't have the blade part that would normally stab you and kill you so you die. When Dean Ambrose gives Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins the sticks to, like, what Michael Cole calls the equalizers, you actually hear the crowd boo. It seems like the crowd's booing the Shield for having weapons, to even though they're outnumbered. Alright, what else we got? So after that, we see what we have on the schedule for tonight. We see that there will be a women's tag team match between Alexa Bliss and Mickie James against Natalya and Ronda Rousey. We are also told that Triple H will be showing up to make an announcement. And also, Nikki Bella will be going against Ruby Riott. And right after that, we go backstage and we see a segment with the Shield, and there's a bunch of cops, and Baron Corbin basically shows up and he's like, hey, if you guys don't put these weapons down, I'm going to strip you of your title, and I'm going to strip you of your title, talking to Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. So the three of them, they drop the little axe handle sticks, and they leave, and that's pretty much it. The first official match that we have tonight on Raw is the Nikki Bella against Ruby Riott. Now, a fun fact that Cole lets us know that this is the first time that these two wrestlers have ever faced each other on Raw. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of cool. The match starts off pretty okay. It's decent. I think the back and forth commentary is better. The match gets a little bit better when Nikki Bella throws Ruby Riott against the ropes, and when Ruby Riott is on her way back, she hits Nikki Bella with a shoulder block, which is kind of cool. There's a spot where pretty much one of my favorite parts that Nikki Bella does is when she jumps off the middle rope, does a 180 spin enziguri, and just kicks Ruby Riott right in the face.
Come on! Nikki up to the second rope and caught her with a kick to the side of the face.
Like, she does it. That's like the best move that she's known for. I'm trying to give her credit here, man. I'm trying not to sound like a complete hater when it comes to Nikki Bella, even though she's overrated as fuck. The finish of the match is when Ruby Riott tries to do her finisher, and Nikki reverses it and picks her up and puts her over her shoulder, like puts her in the fireman's carry, about to do her rack attack, like, you know, finisher. And there's a point where Liv Morgan is supposed to rush into the ring to pretty much interrupt the move, making a DQ. and Liv Morgan actually like stays on the ground because Brie Bella botched it and was super late grabbing her, to the point where Nikki Bella had Ruby Riott on her shoulders and kind of like backed away from the ring, so there was more distance where Liv Morgan couldn't like touch them. They botched it again, but Nikki Bella does her finisher to Ruby Riott and wins the match. Whoopee. After the women's match, we see a package promotional video between Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. I don't know about you guys, every time the Undertaker is in like a promo package video, that shit is epic. Or maybe it's just scary as shit and nobody wants to admit it. So the second match that we have of the night is the Authors of Pain against Jobbers. As soon as Corey Graves see who the Jobbers are, he's like, oh my god, why? Whatever these guys are being paid, it isn't enough. When Corey Graves isn't being a complete tool, he's actually entertaining as shit on the microphone. As soon as the match starts, Aiken deadlift like gorilla press slams one of them. He walks all the way to the corner turnbuckle and throws him diagonally on the ropes. And then he reaches over the jobber, picks him up, and does like a gut wrench, like fall away slam. And Renee Young is like, do I really have to watch this? And Michael Cole's like, yeah, Renee, you do. And then Corey Graves is like, it's like when something really, really bad happens, but you don't look away. So the match pretty much ends when the Authors of Pain do their Super Collider, I believe it's called. And what it is both members of Authors of Pain, they pick up each of the wrestler like they're gonna powerbomb them, and they run and they like slam each other's backs into each other. Then Authors of Pain turn opposite ways and they slam each of the other wrestler and pin them.
Exactly. At least these two guys will be able to tell their grandchildren someday that they were in the ring with AOP.
Here it comes! Super Collider time from AOP!
The next part of the show is we see a great package video about the whole Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy at the Hell in a Cell match, which is in a Hell in a Cell. Yeah, so they show that package, and that's a really good one. After that, we see Triple H. Triple H comes out. He gets a huge pop from the fans. We don't see Triple H that often, and when I was growing up, he is one of my favorite wrestlers. He comes to the ring. He gets a big pop from the fans. He shows that the prediction stats of Triple H, himself against Undertaker is, I believe the stats were, Undertaker had a 81% chance of winning by the fans, and he is at a 19% chance of winning by the fans. And what's actually funny, and Triple H shows some personality, is when he's talking on the microphone, he's like, it basically doesn't bother him at all. He does express the fact that Undertaker coming out and kind of like threatening HBK just because HBK gave his opinion that Triple H was gonna beat the Undertaker, that actually irks Triple H. Like, Undertaker, you're like so mad that HBK said that I was gonna win. You came out here just for that? He kinda has a point though. It's kinda cool. Yeah, that's pretty much a Triple H segment. It wasn't too long. After that segment, we have the Raw Tag Team Championship match rematch. The B Team lost their belts to Dolph and Drew last week, so if you know the rules of wrestling, when you lose the belt, you get a rematch. If you lose that rematch, it means you have to go in the back of the line because you suck and you're not good at your job. Yeah, so Dolph and Drew come out again. And after that, the B Team comes out with the music that I don't really like. Again. There's pretty good back and forth with the commentary. The match itself is kind of slow. It picks up when Dolph super kicks Curtis Axel again. And then tags Drew McIntyre into them. Just like they did last week. It's exactly what they did last week. Oh my god. There's a part when Curtis Axel's on the apron. Drew McIntyre runs in the ring and he just boots Curtis Axel off the apron, splat outside. There's also a spot where I believe Curtis Axel tries to get back up on the apron, and Drew McIntyre is able to get Curtis Axel in a reverse Alabama slam. Dolph Ziggler super kicks Curtis Axel right in the face, and then Drew McIntyre flips him all the way over and slams him. It is such a good combo. I have never seen that shit before. Curtis Axel does eventually make his hot tag, and Bo Dallas does do good for a while, but eventually it catches up to him, because I think they actually take care of like Curtis Axel. We don't see him for a while, so Bo Dallas just ends up getting like beat up. And the match ends when Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre do their Claymore kick / zigzag combo. They retain the titles. the B team is not going to get another chance for a while. They're going to have to like start over and try to work their way back up to get the belts. This might be the end of it, man. We may not see them again. All I know is that their last music was better. When Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler are celebrating in the ring, they are actually jumped from behind by Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. There's a huge pop from the fans, but also a bunch of boos from the fans. After that, we see the video package of the 20th year anniversary since the Hell in a Cell match between Mick Foley and The Undertaker. Super epic trailer, like promo video. You guys need to see that. It's amazing how they almost can make you relive these moments from so long ago. And even now, a lot of the shit people are doing, which is crazy, can't even touch the shit they did 2 decades ago. Wow. The next thing that goes on is we hear Kevin Owens' entrance music, and he starts coming down the ramp. And a funny thing that Michael Cole says is, I thought Kevin Owens quit. So that part's real quick. As soon as that happens, they go right backstage, and there is a segment with Corbin, Dean, and Seth. And Corbin tells them, like, hey man, you disobeyed my orders, I'm gonna have you arrested again. And they're able to flip it by saying, like, hey, well, the only reason we were arrested was because you did some fraudulent, falsifying police report stuff. And after that happens, Baron Corbin's like, what are you talking about? A cop comes in and starts reading Baron Corbin his rights like he's about to get arrested. And after a little bit, Baron Corbin's like, no, okay, wait. Seth, let's just talk for a minute in private. So Dean Ambrose leaves and the cop leaves. And when the two of them leave, they're outside of Baron Corbin's locker room. They're kind of goofing around a little bit. And what's really funny is when Dean Ambrose walks away, it shows the cop and his name. The cop's last name is Ambrose. It's good stuff, man. It's pretty good. And so after that, we go back into the ring, and there is a match with Kevin Owens against Tyler Breeze. You might already see where this is going. Kevin Owens beats up Tyler Breeze before the match starts. He super kicks him on the outside and then does his powerbomb onto the apron. Kevin Owens cuts a promo, and he talks about how when he quit, Baron Corbin hit him up and like begged him to come back. And the only reason why Kevin Owens is back is because him and Corbin made an agreement that Kevin Owens is allowed to do anything he wants to any of his opponents without repercussion. That's pretty interesting. That can get bad. That could be funny. That could be really horrible, which is why we're going to watch it. It's like when you cover your face, but then you like look between your fingers so you can still see what's going on and stuff. So basically, after the Kevin Owens announcement, what he basically says is, when he's kicking people's asses, he's just doing his job. We have another backstage promo with Dolph, Drew, and Braun talking to Corbin about what's going on because they got beat up after their title defense, and they're like looking at Corbin like, hey, you said if they showed up, if the Shield showed up, you were gonna like take their titles and have them arrested. What's going on? And Corbin lets them know like, well, I just got off the phone with Stephanie McMahon, and she really wants this pay-per-view to be really good. So, Drew and Dolph, you're defending your Raw Tag Team Championships against Dean and Seth at Hell in a Cell. And they're all freaking out like, oh my god, you're rewarding them for this? Like, it's a pretty good promo. Next is the women's tag team match that I told you about, which is Ronda Rousey and Natalya against Mickie James and Alexa Bliss. The start of the match is okay. It's Alexa Bliss and Natalya. I think the commentary is more interesting. There is a part where Natalya makes a tag to Ronda Rousey. The crowd pops. And then Mickie James is like looking at Alexa like, hey, I want to get tagged in to go against her. And Ronda's like, are you serious? There is a botch. Women equals botching in wrestling as of late. Oh my god, I can't make this stuff up. There is a botch where Mickie James is kind of laid against the top of the ropes, and when Natalya tries to rush her, Mickie super kicks her, but misses her face by like this much. They botched it again. Bliss is in the ring and she's beating up Natalya, and there's a part when, Ronda's on the apron because she's not in the ring yet, and Alexa just runs and slaps her in the face. You hear the crowd go, oh. And Ronda, when she just turns with that mean mug that she does, that shit is classic, man. So Ronda chases Alexa Bliss outside of the ring, and once they all get back into the ring, she is put in almost like a a heart attack style combo that the Hearts do, like when one wrestler picks up the other wrestler and then the other tag member jumps behind him and clotheslines them. They do that and that gets a pop, and it's kind of cool. We never really seen Ronda Rousey do like a tag team move with someone before, so it's kind of cool. Also noted that Ronda Rousey ends up taking a lot of punishment a little bit after what I just said, and I think the commentary even mentioned it, like this is the most we've seen Ronda Rousey get her ass beat since she's been in WWE. But eventually, after Alexa Bliss like tries to pretend to put, Natty in an armbar and doesn't know how to do it, Ronda ends up submitting Mickie James with the armbar, and Ronda gets super kicked like in the ribs when Ronda Rousey and Natalya are celebrating. So a little side note, they're kind of like selling Ronda's ribs hurting, so that might come up again. After that match, the next part of the show is we have a promo. We have Elias in the ring. He plays a riff for a while, plays a couple notes for a little bit, and the fans like it. As soon as the fans are like cheering a whole bunch for him, he like stops it by saying, this is the Saints football team, which is, they're in New Orleans. And he gets a bunch of heat and boos from the crowd. It's super funny. Eventually, after talking a bunch of shit, Mick Foley comes out, interrupts him, and he wants to talk about the 20th year anniversary of the Hell in a Cell. Mick cuts a promo explaining how his experience was with The Undertaker when that match happened, and it's almost bone-chilling because he's so passionate about what happened. I mean, he talks about, how his tooth got knocked out of his nose and how he fell off the cage, through the cage, the thumbtacks. He announces that he will be the special guest referee for the Universal Championship match at Hell in a Cell with Roman Reigns against Braun Strowman. He also tells Elias that he's able to schedule a match, and it's going to be Elias against Finn Balor that starts right now. In my opinion, the match starts okay. I think the commentary is more so the focus, especially towards the beginning of the match. Finn Balor hits Elias with a drop kick and then follows it up when like the opponent's on the ground and he lifts up their legs and just jumps over their legs and does a little miniature double foot stomp. God! I love that move. It's probably one of my favorites, besides the coup de grace itself. Finn Balor wins the match with just a small package pinup and wins the match. I don't think the match was that long. I don't really mind finishes that are like that because we don't see them all the time. So, yeah, I don't have no complaints on that. Oh, what's also funny is that Michael Cole tells Renee Young that, like, Renee, when you're doing your commentary, you have to call it down the middle. You can't be, like, partial. Like, you can't cheer for one person or over the other or whatever. Which is funny because Corey Graves, he's openly supportive and lets us know who he likes and who he doesn't like, whether a good guy or a bad guy. He's super duper known for doing that, so I think that's kind of funny. The next thing that happens backstage is another promo with Bobby Lashley. He's working out. Bobby Lashley. Ugh. But anyways, we see Lio Rush for the first time. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a super new talent on 205 Live. He's very, very charismatic, super fast, has a lot of skills. So when Bobby Lashley's working out, Lio Rush is like in a suit with shades looking all fresh and shit. And he's kind of like, basically he's like hyping up Bobby Lashley as he's working out. But he's like being annoying. So Bobby Lashley takes off his headphones and he's like, dude, I'm working out. It's actually pretty funny. It's a really cool little promo. I didn't see that coming. Lio Rush, he's on 205. He's good. The fact that we see him on Raw, I thought was pretty cool. The last segment is with Charlie Caruso interviewing Braun Strowman backstage. And Braun Strowman takes the microphone from Charlie and starts interviewing her about where Roman Reigns is. Of course, as you would expect, she looks super scared, uncomfortable. Yo, the top of Charlie Caruso's head is like below Braun Strowman's nipples. So he interviews her about where Roman Reigns is, and eventually after she kind of like composes herself a little bit, she's like, well, maybe you should go out to the ring and Roman Reigns will come and find you. And he comes out to the ring telling everyone that he is going to take Roman's Universal Championship at Hell in a Cell, which completely means he's 100% going to do that, but not really. So eventually, after talking a bunch of shit on the microphone, Roman Reigns is on the announcer's table with the belt, and Braun Strowman goes up to the entrance ramp, and they have a big-ass fight. Roman Reigns gets Braun Strowman on his back on top of the announcer's table and does a Samoan drop off of the announcer's table through part of the entrance ramp that's around the table. And there's mixed reactions from the crowd, but when Roman Reigns grabs his belt and just raises it up high, you see a very, very strong 50-50 split between like Roman Reigns getting booed really hard, but then also getting cheered just as much. It's worth trying to find it somewhere just to watch that part. But yeah, that's the whole show. Now, as far as the predictions, I don't know, man. They have this thing where they mind fuck you. That's what they do. Our job as a viewer is to get our brains just anyway. So since Roman Reigns looked tall after this segment, and then the wrestling pay-per-view is this Sunday, it makes it look like Roman Reigns is going to lose because he just had the last laugh at that last part before the pay-per-view. But that could also mean he's going to win. So my final thoughts about the last episode of Raw before the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, I think it was okay. It was good. As you've heard me going throughout the whole review of the show, there were a few botches. There was the botch between Mickie James missing the super kick with Natalya. There was also a botch when Elias was supposed to do a jumping knee strike to Finn Balor. You hear the slap, you can clearly see that Finn Balor did not get hit. As you hear most of my reviews through the matches, I thought a lot of the matches started slow. The commentary was kind of more of the interesting part. Oh, one thing I want to talk about is Renee Young. I think Renee Young still needs some work with her dialogue. She has a bunch of like one-liners and stuff like that, but she did talk a lot more this episode, which is what I wanted. When I did the Raw review last week, I said she didn't talk enough. You almost forgot she was there. She did way better on speaking up this time. I almost kind of feel like Corey Graves kind of cut back and didn't talk as much, so Renee can kind of like fill that space. Because, you know, Michael Cole's doing the real commentary, so he's talking a whole lot anytime any move happens. I think Renee Young did a really good job at talking more and making her voice known on the announcer's desk. Now, if we're going to see her every Monday or until further notice, I'm super happy. I did not think she would be officially, like, a part of the broadcasting team. Maybe Jonathan Coachman quit. Maybe they fired his corny ass. Maybe they fired Byron Saxton's corny ass too. Maybe they got fired together at the same time. But yeah, man, this is the last Raw before the pay-per-view. We have SmackDown. Hell in a Cell is a Raw / SmackDown pay-per-view, so when SmackDown comes on, they're gonna probably do some of the recaps, go over some of the matches. But yeah, that's the video, man. Not too crazy. I actually went over more than I thought I was going to. But that's about it, man. Hell in a Cell is on Sunday. Please like the video. Please comment. Please subscribe to the channel. There's always more content on the way. I will see you guys in a little bit.